Greetings all, this is Dominick from the Comic Book Report YouTube channel doing another guest review for organicpricedbooks.com. And today we're going to be taking a look at James Tynion's Batman Fear State. The collection we're looking at today is a standard size hardcover with 160 pages. The paper stock is a nice matte paper. The issues in this collected edition were written by James Tynion IV and illustrated by Jorge Jimenez. The volume itself collects Batman issues 112 through 117, and the issues here were first published beginning in 2021 by DC Comics. Taking a look at that front cover, we just have a gorgeous print of some of the main characters throughout this story arc. I see Simon Saint, the Peacemaker, Ghostmaker, Miracle Molly, Harley Quinn, Batman, and of course the Scarecrow. As far as the design of the dust jacket goes, I really enjoy the yellow font and how it matches the spine and the coloring on the back of the book. Each of these Tynion hardcovers has a different sort of color scheme, so along your bookcase, these things all match in a way very nicely, and I really enjoy it. I think that the formatting they have for this edition is quite good as well. I would have preferred an oversized collection with glossy print pages, but the matte paper we get is a nice quality paper overall, and it's just a really nice little collection. I want to give you one more look at that dust jacket, look at some of the interior flaps before transitioning to the under the dust jacket artwork on this standard size hardcover collection. The flaps on the interior dust jacket have a print of Poison Ivy and Miracle Molly respectively. Overall, like I said, a really great dust jacket design, and I'm a really big fan of the under the dust jacket wraparound artwork. This is just a really nice added feature to these hardcover collections, and I think as a collector, it's just another opportunity to get some great art on these books. I'll go ahead and show you a look at each of the sides of this actual hardback book so you can see the art before doing a spread so you can see all the details on this incredible wraparound image. Like I said, they don't have to do things like this, but I love that we've seen these comic publishers do more art like this on the hardback books themselves. I just feel like we get a little bit more for our money, and I personally am a big fan. This image in particular is definitely striking and really gets me excited to read what's inside the book. Now taking a look under the hood, so to speak, I want to give you a look at the binding. It is a glued binding, but this is a smaller collection. The binding seems to be good. I always like sewn collections, but this glued binding for collections like this has become pretty standard. I just wanted to give you all a look, especially for collectors out there, so that you can know what you're buying. And with all that out of the way, we can dive into the collection proper, and I will do a brief plot synopsis, spoiler-free or very light spoilers so that you can enjoy the story for yourselves, but so you can still get an idea of what you're reading. So for those that don't know, this is the ultimate final chapter for James Tynion's run on the Batman. And while there are a lot of elements that have been building up to Fear State, I definitely do recommend checking out The Cowardly Lot, which was the Volume 4 collection in his run to this Fear State's Volume 5. That volume helped to introduce some of the main players in Fear State here. I know Simon Saint, the Peacekeepers, some of the whole Magistrate program are some of the antagonists in this volume alongside Scarecrow in a way, and I think that seeing what happens in The Cowardly Lot is really like a prologue that leads directly into this storyline here. You can read this standalone, but I wouldn't really recommend it because you'll miss some of the broader context of what he's doing. Another thing I'd like to say about this event is that there is another, slightly more expensive hardcover collection out there that includes the issues found here, in addition to a lot of other tie-ins, bonus materials, things like that. That is the Fear State Saga collection, so definitely check that out on Organic Price Books as well if you're interested in this collection, but maybe want a little bit more. I will say that collection adds even more contextual information. We get to see fuller battle sequences, other events that occur during the Fear State event that gives you a fuller picture of this actual story arc. But for those that are purely Batman fans that just want to collect the James Tynion Batman, this might be the volume for you. The story picks up immediately with Scarecrow invading Batman's mind. He's trying to discern what's real and how Scarecrow is influencing him. Around this time, he rounds up members of his Bat family, particularly characters like Nightwing, Batgirl, Ghostmaker, Spoiler, and Orphan and maybe a few others here and there. They're trying to figure out how to bring down Scarecrow, as well as the magistrates, which are still being run by Simon Saint, trying to also deal with the magistrates' peacemakers. And generally, we have Batman, the Bat Family, and Miracle Molly battling the forces of evil rampant through Gotham with both the corrupted magistrates as well as the Scarecrow, who's trying to initiate his own fear state across Gotham. As far as the nuances and specifics of Scarecrow's plan against Gotham in this edition, I'll let you find that out for yourselves. I thought that his whole scheme in this Fear State run was definitely a little more interesting than some of his standard stories, and overall, I had fun with it. I think, though, one of the biggest selling points for this volume for me is the consistently amazing artwork from Jorge Jimenez. He is not new to the Batman title, and he is just going at full steam ahead here in the Fear State event. I love seeing the art we get from him inside. I love all the character models, the way he just illustrates even the background and how the characters are kind of laid out within those backgrounds across Gotham are just gorgeous. There's ways that some of these characters are portrayed that I've never seen them look quite this good in many respects. I do think that this was a fine story overall, but certainly not the tip of the Tynion Batman era for me. I think reading all of his stuff, some of my favorites from this run have really been Their Dark Designs and maybe the Joker War, but this was still a great storyline. Like I said, there was plenty of setup leading into it, and the event itself was okay. I think what I find maybe most fascinating in some respects is how much I maybe preferred James Tynion's run on Detective Comics back during the Batman Rebirth era. He has this whole run in Detective Comics that really follows more predominantly the Bat family, even more than just Batman himself. And what I've read of that run has been spectacular. You can still find a lot of those issues in deluxe editions and omnibus, things like that. I think that might be superior to his actual Batman run here that began with Their Dark Designs. There's definitely some high moments here in Tynion's run, and Fear State is definitely not the lowest moment in his entire run, at least in my opinion. But I do think Detective Comics' run was a bit more superior. That being said, the Fear State run is definitely a must-read for Scarecrow fans. I think that this is one of the biggest spotlights I've seen given to the Scarecrow in Batman comics in recent memory, and overall, I was not disappointed. I think that the character model they used for Scarecrow during Tynion's run as well was absolutely creepy, eerie, and unlike any incarnation of Scarecrow I've ever seen. One thing I didn't even mention, but you might have seen at the beginning of this video, is that the interior pages, when you first open the hardcover, have these like interesting Scarecrow stitched burlap look to them, and I think already from the beginning, you're just really looking for how is the Scarecrow portrayed in this, and overall, his character was an absolute standout in this collection for me. I don't think he's ever been creepier to me, if I'm totally honest with you, and that's something that I found to be really compelling throughout this run here. I will also say the character, I think introduced last volume, Miracle Molly, they do even more things with that character. They develop her further. We get to see a lot of her motivations and internal workings really kind of bear fruit in this volume, and I really enjoyed that. I do think that you should upgrade to the Fear State Saga edition if you want even more great Miracle Molly content. They have kind of a one-shot that goes into her past. That was one of my favorite issues from this Tynion era, and I'm a little bummed they didn't include it in this standard edition here. But again, still a really good collection. We get a lot of great character moments. I do think one of the things as well I enjoy about Tynion's era on Batman is he introduced a lot of these secondary characters into the mythos that I feel like he developed in some ways more than Batman and the crew were most used to. And while I would have loved to see some of that development used for some of these central Batman characters I've come to love, I find myself really charmed by characters like Miracle Molly and the Ghostmaker that Tynion came up with himself. I think that he used them very well, and they definitely added something to the Batman team throughout these last couple volumes. This is the end of the Tynion era on Batman. If you enjoyed the stories here, you can continue on the next Batman run, which was Joshua Williamson's, beginning with the collection called Batman Abyss. Rounding out the back of the collection, we have some great cover art, we have some sketches, a few extras here, which is nice to see on these standard size hardcovers. There's not a ton of extras, but still like a decent amount. Overall, a well-made little collection, and I'm happy I had the opportunity to review it. And there's our last quick look at those burlappy looking scarecrow end pages on this collection. Like I said, a really good little book, a great way to wrap up Tiny Ian's era on the Batman. If you're interested in this title, please check out Organic Price Books, and for more reviews from me, Dominick, please check out my channel, The Comic Book Report. Until next time, have a good one.